Hey guys, what's going on? You're watching Show Me Firearms, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some AR-15 triggers. Now, one of you guys, a viewer, his name is Jake. He's with a company called Joint Task Force Consulting. He reached out to me and wanted to send me out a trigger to try out in my Ruger AR-556. Sounded like a good idea to me, so we've got a pretty cool little care package that he sent over on the channel today. So we've got a buffer tube in here, all kinds of random pins and stuff that you need for your AR-15. Thanks, Jake, for sending that out. Really appreciate that. What we're especially interested in, though, is the trigger that he sent over. This is the Joint Task Force Consulting trigger right here. And just so you guys know, this is not a paid advertising or anything like that. This is just an honest review video. Jake just wanted to send me over a trigger to try out, and that's exactly what we're going to do in today's video. Now, before we install the Joint Task Force Consulting trigger right here in my AR, let's take a good look at my Timney Competition trigger that I currently have installed so we can do our comparison. All right, so I've got a series of tests planned to compare the Joint Task Force Consulting trigger to our Timney Competition trigger. Before we get into those tests, let's talk about the Timney trigger here a little bit. So this trigger has a flat face instead of the more traditional curved face design. That was just kind of a personal preference thing on my part when I chose this trigger. Now, what's cool about the Timney trigger, and a big selling point for me that drew me to it, is its modular design. So what that means is, instead of the trigger being in multiple pieces with your springs, your hammer and trigger and all that kind of stuff, it is actually self-contained in a little housing. So I don't know how well you guys can see that, but the Timney trigger is actually self-contained. So there's just one big unit that you drop in, put your trigger pins back in, and you are good to go. Now, the Timney trigger has an advertised pull weight of about 3 pounds, but we don't have to take the manufacturer's word for it anymore, because we got ourselves a trigger pull gauge on the channel now. So now we can get some highly scientific data on trigger pull weight. So let's do that with the Timney here. So we are completely clear, so you have to go ahead and get some data on this trigger. So we'll try this trigger out with 3 pulls, and then this trigger pull gauge will give us an average, so we can get our average trigger pull weight. So let's do it. Clear it out here. Okay, that pull was 3 pounds, 2 ounces, so pretty close to our advertised pull weight there. Let's go ahead and reset and do it again. That was 2 pounds, 8 ounces. That was 2 pounds, 4 ounces. Let's get our average trigger pull weight here. Okay, our average is 2 pounds, 10 ounces, so pretty darn close to what the manufacturer is telling us. So there is phase 1 of our series of tests to compare the Timney trigger to the Joint Task Force Consulting trigger. Let's move on to phase 2. All right, so phase 2 of our series of tests to compare our Timney Competition trigger to the Joint Task Force Consulting trigger is, of course, a little bit of live fire. So we're going to start off with 10 rounds of 223 Remington. We're just going to do some slow fire at the steel target down there just to get a really good feel for the Timney trigger here. And then we're going to reload with 10 rounds, and I'm going to dump those 10 rounds as fast as I possibly can so we can hopefully try to get a time comparison on a 10-round mag dump on the Timney trigger versus the Joint Task Force Consulting trigger. So start off with a little bit of slow fire. 10 rounds with the Timney trigger on that steel target. Let's do it. One thing I really like about the Timney is that the reset is so short. Like, there's hardly any travel on that, and it just allows you to get really, really good shots off really, really quickly. All right, actually, we had a light primer strike on that last round, so only got 9 rounds off, but it's fine. So now let's reload our mag with 10 rounds, and then we'll dump that mag as fast as we can and try to get a good time comparison. All right, so we're loaded up again with 10 more rounds of 223 Remington, and this will be our mag dump. We're going to see how quickly I can dump all 10 rounds. Now, I don't have a shot timer, so what I'll have to do is I'll have to go back and watch the video loop, basically count the number of frames that it takes from the time I fire my first round to the time I fire my last round. So I won't know exactly what that time is here while I'm filming, but I'll get that time from editing. So let's do it. All right, 10 rounds as fast as I can. That was all 10 rounds, and like I said, I don't know exactly how long that is, but I'll check the video loop and we'll put it up on the screen right now. Okay, so now you guys know how quickly that was. I don't yet, but I'll know later when I edit this video. Okay guys, we've got our Joint Task Force Consulting trigger installed on my Ruger AR-556 here. So first glance on this trigger, as you can see, it is a more traditional design in that it is a curved face instead of a flat face. Now, whether the trigger is curved or flat does not affect the function of the trigger. That is just a kind of a personal preference thing. This trigger is also more traditional in that it is not a modular design like the Timney. Instead, it is all individual components in there that you have to install manually. So installation does take a bit longer, but not a huge deal or anything like that. Just know that it will all be individual components that you'll have to install manually. Let's go ahead and try this trigger out here. And we are clear, so you have to go ahead and dry fire. Nice, that was pretty light. Nice, crisp, clean break. Reset. Okay, the reset is a little bit more gritty than the Timney. The reset feels a little more like a mil-spec trigger, but the break, though, is way better than your average mil-spec trigger. I like the break. Reset, not bad, but like I said, just a little bit more gritty than the Timney, but the break feels amazing. Let's go ahead and get our pull weight here. £3, 4 ounces on that pull. £3, 3 ounces on that pull. £2, 12 ounces on that pull. Dang. Let's get our average here. That gives us an average pull weight of 3 pounds, 1 ounce. Dang, that's nice. That is on par with the Timney as far as pull weight goes. So yeah, initial thoughts. Like I said, the break feels amazing. The reset a little bit gritty, a little more so than the Timney, but still that break is amazing. About a 3 pound pull weight or so. That's pretty darn good. All right, let's try some live fire with this trigger and see what it's got. All right, we're gonna run the same series of tests as we did with the Timney trigger. So first, we're gonna do some slow fire with 10 rounds of 223 Remington. All right, first shots with the Joint Task Force Consulting trigger. Let's see how she feels. That feels good. Like I said, I love the clean, crisp break. The reset is a bit gritty, a little more mil-spec-y than, say, the Timney, but so far I'm really liking it. All right, that's all 10 rounds. So yeah, like I said, so far, loving the clean, crisp break. It's a really light pull weight. I love that. The reset, like I was talking about, it's a little bit longer than the Timney, and it feels just a little more gritty, but honestly, I'm kind of splitting hairs with those two things, but so far, I'm really loving this Joint Task Force Consulting trigger. Now, let's load up again with 10 more rounds, do a mag dump, and see how quickly I can mag dump with this trigger compared to the Timney. All right, we're loaded up again with 10 more rounds of 223 Remington, and like I mentioned earlier, I don't have a shot timer, so what I'll do is I'll go back and check the video loop, count the number of frames from the time I fire my first round to the time I fire my last round, and hopefully we can get a pretty accurate time from that. So yeah, let's go ahead and mag dump this and see how quickly I can dump 10 rounds with this trigger compared to the Timney. So, of course, I do not know how fast that was. Hopefully, you guys know right now, so hopefully we'll put that time up somewhere in this video. All right, by now, you guys know how quick that was. I still don't. I still got to go check the video. All right, so to sum up today's review on the Timney Competition trigger versus the Joint Task Force Consulting trigger, I gotta say, I really liked the Joint Task Force Consulting trigger. A really light pull weight, clean, crisp break. I absolutely love that. The only slight downside to this trigger is it is a bit more gritty on the reset, feels a little more mil-spec-y in that regard. But again, that is not a huge deal whatsoever, and it's easily something that, you know, you can deal with. And because like I said, we're really having to split hairs at this point because these triggers are very close together. They are on par with one another as far as I'm concerned. They both have about the same pull weight, and I think they feel absolutely amazing. So again, a big thanks to Jake from Joint Task Force Consulting for sending out this trigger and this little care package of little AR goodies to try out. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that. And make sure you swing by and check out Jake's channels. I believe he's got 2 YouTube channels. I'll link those in the description down below. Also check out his website. I'll link that as well in the description down below. Joint Task Force Consulting, they seem like a great company. They've got all kinds of gun parts and accessories, and I also believe they do like training courses and survival courses and stuff at their location down in Texas. So yeah, I'll link all their stuff in the description down below. Be sure to show them some love and go and check them out. Thanks so much for watching Show Me Firearms, guys. I appreciate you being here. And don't forget, until next time, show me them firearms.
What a way to set up a monster mower, am I right?
So much freedom!